Okay, I would like to remind everyone of some of the instructions included in the remote meeting protocol. Everyone will be muted, and if you're asked to speak, you unmute yourself, speak and mute yourself again when you are finished. If you have a question, press the virtual hand on a screen and a chair will invite you to speak, one person at a time. Please do not begin speaking until the chair invites you in. If you have a comment to make, you should only raise the symbol of a hand when the chair asks for comments, and again, you will be invited to speak one person at a time. If for any reason a member has cause to leave the meeting, then they must indicate this to the chair before leaving. Please raise your hand or send a message to the online chat. Case law is clear. You are not allowed to vote if you haven't heard the full debate. So if your screen freezes, but you have heard the whole debate, you may use your discretion over whether to vote. However, if you did not hear the whole debate, then you cannot vote. When we come to the recommendations, you will be invited to vote. Could I ask all officers and guests to turn off their cameras so that only elected members and lay members are on screen? You should turn on your camera and microphone while you are speaking on an item, but please turn them back off again afterward. Could I please also ask Democratic Services to mute everyone and begin the recording that was referred to in the published agenda? Okay, I think we are recording. Okay, prynawn da, croeso I cyfarfod, diolch I chi gyd am dod. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Have we got any from...
All members are present, Chair.
Lovely, thank you, Maya. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to the Council Tax, Local Government Act 2000 and the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. Anyone got any declarations? No? Okay. Go straight on to agenda item number 3. And this is weed spraying throughout the county borough. And I believe this will be presented by Robert Barnett.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Right, the reason for the report is to inform Scrutiny members of our current operations relating to street spraying. It's also there to highlight future risks to the authority in the use of certain chemicals. I've broken each section down into subsections, namely street spraying and knotweed control, which was asked for by the Scrutiny members. The street spraying is currently done by a contractor, and the knotweed control is currently done by our own staff in-house. Section C of the report highlights the use of glyphosate, which is a chemical which has been around for 40 years. However, in 2015, the IARC found that it was a probable human carcinogen. Subsequent lawsuits in America related to the highly public lawsuit where the groundsman was awarded $78 million. There are currently 18,400 lawsuits worldwide. Germany has set to ban the chemical in 2023, and France and Italy are hoping to ban it by the end of this year. It's licensed in Britain to use until December 2022, but as all authorities, we have an obligation to reduce its use as much as possible. Any questions?
Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. First question on under the summary of the report on page 5, Robert.
Yes.
Under paragraph 1.3, last sentence, it says national agencies across the world have declared glyphosate safe to use. However, some countries have now decided to ban glyphosate or severely curtail its use. Clearly, there's a question mark over its safety. You've just referred to a number of countries that have banned it. What is the view then of the Environment Agency? in this country, and also the Health and Safety Commission, because if there is some doubt whether the use of this causes cancers, surely organisations like that would prick up their ears and be interested to pursue the matter. I got two other questions afterwards, Chair.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Clive. Yes, you're right. There are grave doubts about the use of this chemical. However, it is licensed, as I said, till December 22 in this country. And I think the likes of the Health and Safety Executive, they are looking at that licensing as the main legislative background. However, Health and Safety, the HSE, will say that we have to have our own risk assessments, and we have to be sure that where we are using the chemical, that it's done as safely as possible. You know, the proper PPE, it's reduced as much as we can. So yes, the legislation is there to allow us to use it, but we have to be careful and reduce that as much as possible. It's not illegal to use at the moment. However, countries are taking the stance that they are going to reduce it to a minimum or reduce it and ban it completely. Most local authorities are looking at complete bans, partial bans, and other ways we can control weeds in the future. So that's an ongoing issue which most authorities are looking at the moment.
So, Robert, the company that we use, Complete Weed Control, they're the ones who currently use this glyphosate. What's it called?
Glyphosate.
Glyphosate. That's right.
Yeah.
There's no issues then as far as the public are concerned. You know, it's if they're going around the streets where we see all these weeds on pavements and guttering, etc. Having read the report, it seems as if the way they use this particular weed killer, there's no spray. Am I right in saying there's not a lot of spray coming from it? So can you explain to me and the rest of the committee how safe it is? You just explained about the staff, but how safe it is for the public?
Well, I think as far as safety is concerned, this is the safest possible way we can still use it, because the company use a system whereby it's an electronic spray system where they drive over a weed. The sensors beneath it's a little quad vehicle. The sensors beneath the quad actually pick up the chlorophyll in a plant. So it will only spot spray where it senses a plant. Whereas previous to this, if you had, say, a paved area, it was a blanket sprayed with glyphosate, and 90% of the weeds would be it, but it would also spray all the hard surfaces as well. This way, the amount of chemical used has been reduced by 80%. Well, that's what the contractor claims. By only targeting the actual weeds and by spraying the actual weeds, you're not getting overspray onto hard surfaces, etc. So we've reduced the actual use of the glyphosate down to an absolute minimum. This is why we went to a contractor, because we didn't have the equipment in-house. We used to spray everything in-house with our own staff, but obviously we had a lot more overspray, we used a lot more chemical. So the safest way we can still use it is by using this contractor.
Thank you. And leading on from that, the bottom of page 6, going up to the top of page 7, you see this company does this spraying in the months between May to July, so that's what, approximately 12 weeks. Is that sufficient time if we're covering the whole county borough, where, for example, we've got 27,500 residential properties? They can cover the whole county borough from one end to the other within 12 weeks?
Yes, that's correct. It is a ride-on vehicle, although they have the ability to, where it's inaccessible with a ride-on vehicle, they have a wander hose type of tool where they can get off the vehicle and spray isolated patches. But yes, it can be done within the 12 weeks. Ideally, what we would like is 2 sprays. So we'd have one early on and one later, because it's always a bit of a balancing act. If you spray too early, you stop the weed growth initially, but you will get secondary growth later on in the season, which is what we had this year. However, if you spray too late, then you've got the weeds standing 3 foot tall. So ideally, 2 sprays would be an ideal situation.
Thank you. And staying on page 7 under 510, you say there, occasionally requests are received from landowners who want the council to treat Japanese knotweed on their land. If it's easily accessible and safe to do so, we can treat it. We would then charge the owner to cover the cost for our time and any materials used. I didn't realise, I don't know about other members of this committee and the council, I didn't realise that we would help out private owners of land, because this Japanese knotweed is, from what I can see of it, is everywhere and anywhere at this moment in time. Are the public well aware that, is it publicised that the council's officers could do this for them and charge it to them?
We don't currently readily publicise that fact, to be honest. But where we do get requests, often from people who are buying properties or selling properties, we will get a request to spray a back garden, and we'll do so in them circumstances. But we don't readily advertise the fact that we can spray. Maybe it's something we should look at. There could be an income generation opportunity, but at the moment, it's a very small resource we've got. It's basically one man and a vehicle with a spray tank. So by advertising, we would maybe have to up resource and enable us to do that. But yeah, it's something we could look at. Okay,
thanks. One last thing. Obviously, the clock finishes about this particular weed killer in December 22. So during this time, within the next 2 years, the council's got to decide which way we're going to deal with it, because we won't be able to use this particular weed killer. So there has to be a system in place, whichever way we do it, well in advance of December 22.
Yes, that's correct. And like most councillors, we are looking at cultural methods of control. There are things out there which like the foam stream, which is a machine which sprays hot foam. Now that does kill the aerial part of the plant, but it doesn't kill the root like glyphosate does. So obviously that would have to be done on a regular basis. So there are machines out there. I know Swansea have got one of those for its green flag parks. It doesn't use it right across the city, but it does use it for green flag parks. So that's being trialled. Obviously, all methods are more expensive and more labour intensive than the glyphosate. So it's something that the council will have to decide how we go forward. Whether it's actually physically removing wire brushes on our sweepers, etc. Maybe invest in something like the foam stream. There are also applications of acetic acid, which is like a vinegar substance. None of them are as good as the glyphosate, and all of them are more expensive. But if we want weed-free streets, we're going to have to come up with some solution which is sustainable. We also have to think about the biodiversity when we're using chemicals and things like hot foam and steam as well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Clive. We've got more questions as well from Councillor Lee Davis, Councillor David Jones and Councillor Malcolm Colburn in that order. So Lee, if you want to fire ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Hi, Rob.
Afternoon.
Can you tell us where glyphosate is currently used? Is it used in playgrounds and parks at the moment?
It is currently used right throughout the borough. As I say, we reduced the use in general use by our contractor down by 80%. We don't readily use it in playgrounds unless there's a specific cause, with weeds coming up through the tiles, etc. But we keep it to an absolute minimum. The other use then is when we spray in Japanese knotweed, because at the moment that is the only control of Japanese knotweed. And I think if it was removed from the market, the control of Japanese knotweed within the borough and throughout the country, we would have a bit of a problem. So yes, it's used on Japanese knotweed stands and right throughout the borough, street spraying in our parks and on our playgrounds, but it is as a minimal use only.
Okay. Once it's sprayed, how long could it possibly be dangerous to animals?
Well, glyphosate isn't dangerous to animals. As I say, it's been around for 40 years. It's been tried and tested, and it's only because of the litigation in America that it's come to highlight the possible causes. But the manufacturer says once it hits the ground and it's absorbed by the plant, it's harmless, basically. You could actually pick the plant up and eat it, and it wouldn't cause you any harm. This is what the manufacturers say. Obviously, since the testing has gone on, there is a slight link to cancer, which is yet to be proved, I suppose. But yeah, there is a small risk.
Okay. Last question. I know you mentioned the vehicle earlier. They're travelling up and down the pavements, and there's lots of cars in our wards, and they're parked up against pavements. Do they get out and spray within the gutters as well?
They do where they can. As you say, car parking in the streets is very problematic. Not just for weed spraying, but also for litter picking, etc. Yeah, the machine is designed to spray straight down onto the deck, if you like. So if there are cars in the street, he'll have to use his wanderers then and spray between, which, as you can imagine, is going to be very difficult. Some of the weeds are underneath the car, so they can only do what they can actually do at the time. They do their best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Councillor David Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Lee has covered a lot of my stuff. Rob, are there any other manufacturers or other manufacturers of glyphosate looking to produce an alternative, or are there any other manufacturers who are looking to do so? Obviously, with the reduction in the use, it would benefit them to have another product. So are you aware of anything that they are looking at?
There are, I won't say alternatives, but there are other chemicals on the market. None of them are as effective as glyphosate. None of them are as cost effective as glyphosate. And there's nothing to substitute it at the moment. The testing of these chemicals takes many years and literally millions of pounds. So I dare say there are some in the pipeline, but none in the near future are going to be readily available, if they ever are, because the environment is more important. It's in everyone's mind these days, and chemical use is being reduced throughout the globe. So whether we will ever get a chemical replacement is unknown, which is why most people are looking down the cultural methods of control.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Malcolm Colbrand.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, again, most of my points have been raised and answered already. Just a couple of quick things. I understand that glyphosate is also available in commercially weed killers like Weed All and Roundup and things like that. So it is available for the general public to buy and use for themselves. So it's not just the council that are using it. In relation to Japanese knotweed, how big a problem is that throughout the county borough? Are we fighting a losing battle on it at the moment?
No, in relation to glyphosate, it is a difficult battle, but I think it's a battle we are winning. I've put in the body of the report the sort of success rate we've had. I can't see it off the top of my head here now, but yeah, I think currently there's about 1,000 square meters of active knotweed in the borough. It takes between 1 and 5 years to eradicate it. A small stand could be eradicated within one hit. However, we found at least 3 years, and it's more probable 5 applications. We do the applications in September, which is the best time to hit it. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a losing battle. it's one that we win in, but it's a slow battle. As long as we keep on top of it and we still have the use of the glyphosate, I think it's something that we will eventually control, but it's a difficult job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else got any questions? Are they legacy hands or? Yeah, okay. Robert, I just got a couple of other things. Councillor Lee Davis touched on it about the guys not getting off the quads. So what actually happens now, the streets where the pavement isn't wide enough for the machine to go down, they just left now? And if so, when did that start happening?
We've been using the contractor since about 2014. It's only a quad machine, so there are no paths or roads that he can't actually get down. So, you know, it's a small machine. You've probably seen it around the streets. It's like a little Honda quad, so you can get down a 1.8 wide path. So there's no restrictions on getting there. The problems, as someone said earlier, is cars, etc., which can make it problematic. But access is certainly not a problem. And where there are accessible, say for instance on the bottom of a set of steps, you can then pull the wander hose and spray the steps without actually traveling that route. So there are no areas which are highlighted which haven't been done or shouldn't be done. So the whole borough should be targeted. We have some areas which are sometimes missed, and you know, usually a phone call and we can get them back and they spray that and it's sorted.
Okay, I've just got one more question, Robert, and it's basically got to do with 4.2 and 5.18. If the council was to ban the use of glyphosate, it would require a range of additional equipment such as sweepers and staff.
Yeah.
How many staff would it take to maintain current levels of control if they had to do it physically without glyphosate?
I would say, and we haven't done any real studies on this, but I think you'd need 2 or 3 men employed throughout the summer period just to physically remove, and that would obviously depend on what machinery we decided to use, whether it would be like a foam stream or acetic acid spray. So it would depend on trials, but I would think that you're talking about 2 or 3 men at least to keep the borough, you know, weed free.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Robert. Has anyone else got any questions? I've got Lee and Di with your hands up. I don't know if they're legacy hands.
Mine's a comment, Chair.
Yeah. No more questions, so we'll go on to comments. Councillor David Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to thank Rob and the team for the knotweed eradication services that they've provided for residents in Town Ward. All the residents who paid for this service have been delighted with the professionalism of the staff and the outcomes of the spraying. All have said that it was excellent value for money and has meant that they could buy or sell their properties following that treatment. So from them, thank you very much, Rob, you and the team.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I know this is 2 years away, but we obviously need to have a further report coming to the Scrutiny Committee at the appropriate time when recommendations have been made by council officers as to the way forward. So, Chair, at some time we have to weave this into our forward work programme, and I would have thought that that would need a liaison between people like yourself, Robert, and the chair of this committee as to when it's the appropriate time for it to come back to us, because clearly there are implications. There could be additional financial implications depending on how you're going to deal with it. So all I'm saying is, obviously we shouldn't leave this until, you know, October or November 2022. We need to, as a scrutiny committee, deal with it in advance of that, and when you're got all your information and the recommendations that you're going to make. Thank you.
I'd just like to echo Councillor David Jones's what he said about you spraying knotweed as well, because you've helped the residents of Regent Street, Thomas Terrace, Great Terrace, in the Dowlais area as well. I've one more comment in your report, Robert. You mentioned about Lambeth Council. I've actually been on their website to have a look at what they're doing about getting residents involved. It's an interesting idea. Obviously, it probably will be difficult to get residents on board for them with the approach they're taking, but and their scheme has been delayed by coronavirus. But it's definitely something I think the council should keep an eye on and see if it works for them, and it could be something that could be implemented here. Anyone else got any comments? No. Robert, thank you very much for your report. Thank you. We'll just give it a second and we'll go on to the next one.
Thank you all.
Okay, agenda item number 4. It's environmental enforcement across the county borough, and this will be presented by Paul Jones and Gemma Price.
Good afternoon. I'll summarise the report as we go along. The report is an information report to update committee members on the current position of the environmental cleansing and enforcement team in regards to enforcement. Scrutiny members have specified reference to 4 particular areas: a review of the surveillance cameras, an overview of fly tipping policies, the latest figures and data and effects, if any, of the recent HWRC closures, and also dog fouling, public space protection orders. Information on all 4 points is presented within the report. I'd like to touch on COVID-19 and its implications on our service area. And with this in mind, PACE interviews have been postponed to date. However, working with legal, we've looked at ways of changing and looking at paper interviews. All evidence since March has been mothballed, ready for when life returns to normal, and PACE interviews can once again continue. Any questions or comments, please?
Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Where do we start? Can you tell me, Paul, what you mentioned them under 5.9? What are trail cameras?
Yeah, we've got an array of cameras basically. They are redeployment kits, trail cameras, dummy cameras. Basically, they're the cameras where we can put out and put them in the bushes. Obviously, they need a lot of resources in terms of changing the batteries, etc.
They're very similar to wildlife cameras. That's what they look like.
Sorry, similar to what, sorry?
Wildlife cameras. If you Googled wildlife cameras, they look very similar to those.
And they're very small, are they?
I don't really know what's the size. They sort of this big.
Right. Okay. Thank you. On bottom of page 13, 511, going to the top of the page. Within that, it says cameras can only be deployed in an area where there is adequate signage, or the local authority would need to apply for regulation of investigatory under the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act authorization via the Magistrates Court each time. So am I right in saying that wherever we put any camera, there has to be a form of signage that indicates that there is a camera in the vicinity? Is that correct?
if not applying for RIPA, then yeah, the easiest way for us to be able to deploy cameras throughout the county borough would be to put signage up. It can be in the form of our triangular CCTV signs, or
Right.
it could be the general fly tipping signs that you see about the borough, the ones that say, if you just see at the bottom of the sign, it sort of says this area is under surveillance. So yeah, we 99% of the time we'll put a sign up in the area, because obviously it's a lot quicker for us to be able to deploy the camera without getting the RIPA consent.
Right. Thank you. And next paragraph down there in 512, you refer to a change in legislation that has occurred. The cameras are currently unable to be deployed due to a potential breach of GDPR. So does that mean that we haven't got any cameras anywhere at all currently operating throughout the county borough?
Yeah, that's correct at this moment in time.
So how long will it be before that's corrected? Because I would have thought that the cameras, whatever cameras there are, is part of the armory that you need to have if you're going to go down the route of prosecution.
Yeah, we've been dealing with the GDPR team in the Civic Centre for a couple of weeks now, and we're hoping that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully, we'll be able to process all the relevant information and be able to crack on with the deployment of cameras. I'd like you to bear in mind, though, at this moment in time, we do not have the resources to deploy cameras.
Is that because of the staffing capacity?
Yes, that's correct.
And obviously, just to add on to that, what Paul's just said, cameras are not necessarily, although in the ideal world, a camera is absolutely fantastic for evidence. A lot of the time, the information that's obtained via the cameras, or the difficulty in being able to obtain that information, is not necessarily enough to get us a prosecution.
Right. So, Paul, coming back to your answer, this capacity issue, in your case, you haven't got the staff to go out, I suppose, and put the camera up, but you mentioned somewhere else, there's prepping time, you need some hours to do it, etc. Is this a capacity issue which has been escalated to the senior management team, or is it being just left there and nothing more is going to be done about that?
Yeah, obviously, over the past 2 years, unfortunately, due to efficiencies, we lost our environmental enforcement officers, which we didn't replace. We've also lost our second fly tipping team. So we're currently down to two operatives who cover the whole county borough, who are primarily engaged with collecting waste and don't have the time to redeploy cameras, to be perfectly honest with you. And yes, senior management is aware, and it's something that they're looking at.
Because the whole issue about capacity within the authority is being looked at, isn't it? Yeah. You know, the improvement in insurance board at that level are looking at it. So it's, in your particular case, it's on the radar of a number of other individuals within the authority.
Yeah, yes.
Right, and on the same page 14, 5.14, you state there, the team have looked into getting a Revada camera given the success reported by Merthyr Valley Homes. And it's understood the antisocial behaviour team have one of these cameras, and we will liaise with them to ask that they also report any instances of fly tipping to allow us to fully investigate. I was under the impression, and it's probably a year ago, perhaps longer, when we discussed this particular issue, that yourself and other officers were going to go away and come back with a further report for this committee, because my understanding was that yourself, Paul, and others were interested in these cameras, but nothing obviously has happened with it, because the cameras that Merthyr Valley Homes have got are clearly working. And I think you've been to see them and talked to Merthyr Valley Homes, and my recollection of the Scrutiny Committee was that you were quite interested in these cameras, but I'm surprised that nothing's happened so far.
Yeah, again, Councillor, it's basically down to finances. The cost of a Rivada camera is in excess of £15,000, and it's not viable within the actual budget we've got to obtain one. We are aware, however, that public protection and safety do have one. I know they're very busy with it in terms of their work. We've asked, as and when possible, if we could use it. To date, unfortunately, we haven't been able to obtain it in any shape or form. However, we are aware that protection and safety, again, have had some new cameras fitted around the town centre, etc. So we're linking in with them as much as possible. But ideally, as you alluded to, we really do need our own, specifically for fly tipping.
So going back to the financial aspect of it, is this something that you've raised within your department at the chief officer level as to whether this could be part and parcel of the additional demand that everyone looks at in the coming months?
Yeah, it's something we're looking at on a yearly basis, to be honest. Again, there isn't a requirement in terms of resources like there is for the other cameras, because this camera can be put out and it can be left for 4 to 6 weeks, if you like, or whenever you want to move it. Yeah, I'm looking at year end this year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a little bit of excess money left over from other parts of the budget, and we'll be looking to purchase one for ourselves.
Okay, because I would have thought, through you, Chair, that there are certainly various hotspots in the county borough where even one camera would be extremely useful for yourselves. Can I go on the same page, 5.16? You refer there to the environmental cleansing and enforcement team have no formal policy that has been agreed by council. And you end up that paragraph saying we are now in the process of writing a formal policy that, once completed, will be taken before full council for agreement. Do you know, are you anywhere near taking that to council, or is that a few months away?
Yeah, funnily enough, we only met on it last week, myself and Gemma, and it's a big document. Gemma's put a lot of time and effort into the document itself, and we're pretty confident by January, February it'll be completed. Okay,
thank you. My last question, Chair, is on page 15 under 5.18. A matter, as you know, Paul, is close to my heart and most of other councillors in the council chamber, and that's the issue about being able to clear waste from unregistered land. My understanding, because as you know, I've got there's an issue in my ward, which you replied to me stating that there's a report going to cabinet, or there was a draft report going to cabinet. Is that going shortly? Because once that's been agreed by cabinet, and then I presume it goes to council as well. And my understanding is that you can deal with these matters then of waste on unregistered land, because there seems to be a hell of a lot of unregistered land in the county borough.
Yeah, As an update on that, Councillor David Jones and Judith have met and discussed the draft report. Their preference is for option 3, which at this moment in time is looking at bringing probation into work with us and doing a 10-week trial using probation on unregistered land.
Right.
I can see that Judith has got her hand up though, so she may be able to.
Yeah, I think you said Councillor David Jones.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Oh, sorry, David.
Yeah. So it's there's something going to be done about it, obviously, within the next immediate few weeks, Paul.
I'm assuming so, yes. Once the relevant meetings have been taking place with probation.
Yeah. Does Chief Officer Judith know when it's going to Cabinet?
Hi, Clive. There's no cabinet date penciled in at the moment. As Paul says, we're going to carry out this exercise with the probation service, to do that hit first, and then we'll look at revising the report and then pausing it then.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Clive. Councillor Lee Davis, I believe.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Paul, can the Revader cameras, can they be leased, do you know?
As far as I'm aware, you buy the unit. As that's what Merthyr Valley Homes have.
I know they have. I just wondered if we would be able to lease them as well, whether that would be an option.
I'll have a look into it. It's not something that's been sort of relayed as an option to me at the moment, so I don't know, but it's worth looking into that.
Yeah, and like I obviously I know if you can get back to us with a definite figure on how much they cost and how much they cost to move as well. Obviously, there's going to be a figure to move them from different lampposts.
They're around £300 to move them from location to location.
Okay. And has discussions taken place with Regen to see if they are aware of any external funding that could be applied for these cameras?
I'm led to believe that Public Protection and Safety have had a Regen grant for all their new cameras.
Okay. There's lots of funding have come up from COVID, and flight tipping has increased, especially within our community during the first lockdown. It was quite dramatic, to tell the truth. But obviously that's major work for Merthyr Valley Homes. But it may be worth having that conversation to see if there's any external grants going forward. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Lee. Any other questions? Jeremy, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to comment, but Gemma did that. I know they're £300 to move, because obviously I work with Merthyr Valley Homes on the board, and I believe the cameras were 5,000 or 15,000 when we had the last meeting last year with Merthyr Valley Homes in the chamber, if I'm correct.
I'll have to check, Jeremy. I thought it was 15,000 to purchase.
Yeah, if you could double check that and let us know, because I'm positive they said 5,000. That'd be great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor David Jones. Di, you're muted.
Beat me. Paul, previously there was work done with RSLs. Most of the fly tipping that ends up is either builder's waste or household waste. Covers probably a very high percentage of it. Is there any work ongoing with RSLs sort of for combined working at the moment? I've got one other as well, please.
Not at the moment. We don't have a lot to do with any of the RSLs at the moment, to be honest. We do work in conjunction with MVH in terms of fly tipping and collections, etc. We are working more closely with the police, and we have had a request from the commoners. They wanted to do a litter pick just before the latest lockdown, but we're going to do one now, November the 19th, I believe.
Which is good news. Though we're all aware that when it happens, it doesn't take long for it to get back the way it was. Which will sort of bring me on to my second question. How many fly tipping incidents have NRW been involved in throughout the county borough in the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years that you're aware of?
One I'm aware of, to be honest.
Yeah, I would second that. I don't think as a whole.
We have, to be honest, in the past, especially with and the position that's in at the moment, we've involved them as best we can. The reply we had back was, like most local authorities, they've had efficiency cuts, etc., and they don't have the capacity to assist anymore.
Yeah, well, we're all undergoing cuts at the moment, and as well as the likes of the Bogie Road and the Common, we've got issues in Hillgerrig, and I'm sure my colleagues on the panel would be able to give you particular instances in their own wards. I'm just wondering why they aren't a bit more active working with us, if not on their own.
Yeah, an arm of Natural Resources Wales is Fly Tipping Action Wales. We do liaise a lot with Fly Tipping Action Wales, but in terms of assisting us, they do assist us via social media. They've also given us 20 fly tipping signs lately, but in terms of actual manpower, there's very little forthcoming.
Is there any reason for that other than them saying that they are in a similar position to us with regard to cuts?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Di. Lee, did you want to come in? Or is it a legacy hand?
Sorry, my fault.
That's okay.
Legacy.
I've got has anyone else got any questions? No, I've got two, one small ones. Clive touched on this already. It's 5.16, the environmental cleansing and enforcement team have no formal policy. This formal policy, will it give the council more powers, and what exactly is different to what we're doing now, if there is anything?
It would no. Our powers remain the same. So we'll still have our exact same enforcement powers. It just sort of puts everything down on paper, and everyone's on the same page as to where we're working from then. So the way we do things and how we deal with certain areas. So we won't change anything as such in relation to, the way we carry out our enforcement powers.
Okay, cheers, Jem. Before I ask my last question, Councillor David Jones got his hand up.
Apologies, Chair.
Sorry, Di. My last question is 5.19. The local authority are currently in the process of applying for a public spaces protection order, which is out to consultation, I think, until 12th of December. We discussed in a pre-meeting. There's no mention of this coming to the our scrutiny committee before going back to cabinet after the public consultation has taken place. Is this has this been left off in error, or or was it not planned to come back to this committee? I think Judith wants to come in here.
Yeah, Chair, perhaps I can answer that. The report's actually been drafted by legal, so maybe it goes to their scrutiny committee and not this one.
Okay, no problem. I think. Thank you very much to Paul and Gemma for giving that report. Before we go on to the next issue, can Judith, every other officer can go, but can Judith and probably the cabinet member stay on for our any other business? Because we've had a discussion in our pre-meeting that we want to raise. Clive,
are you going on to comments?
My apologies. Has anyone got any comments?
Yes, I have.
Clive.
I hope all these officers haven't gone now. On page 15 of the report, under 6.2, And this is important because it's a very important paragraph because it refers to the possibility of investing in a reverter camera. And it says, as mentioned above, Merthyr Valley Homes have reported a significant reduction in fly tipping in areas where they have deployed these units. The reverter camera is an overt camera, so not only does it record footage, it also acts as a deterrent due to its visibility. And I think the words in that paragraph are key. And I sincerely hope that the officers have success in finding money for hopefully more than one reverter camera. And if what Councillor Jeremy Davis has stated is correct, and the cost of it is £10,000 less than Paul Jones seems to think that it is, if it is 5,000, hopefully we can get more cameras. But clearly they are working, they are visible, and they act as a deterrent. So as a member of this committee, Chair, I'm sure all the other members are particularly interested to know what will be the outcome of your inquiries and report back to the Scrutiny Committee as to whether you have any success in obtaining these cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, Clive. Councillor Jeremy Davis.
Yeah, it's just a comment to Paul and Gemma. If you could pass my thanks on to the boys from the last lockdown, because when I was reporting fly tipping on the site, sometimes it was getting picked up within 2 hours after I reported it. So I just like to pass my thanks on the good work they done in trying to combat it in difficult circumstances at the time.
Thank you, Chair. I have got one comment as well. It's just in regards to the difficulties you have in catching people fly tipping that you've mentioned with the cameras. I can corroborate this because our community group has put out some nature cameras, trail cameras, to actually capture nature, but we have unwittingly by accident caught people fly tipping, but it is very, very difficult to actually see who the people are and to actually catch the number plates on as well. So and as well, if trees are blowing in the wind, it sets off the motion detector as well. So I didn't previously understand the difficulties you had with your cameras. This time, anybody else got any comments? No. This time, thank you very much, Paul and Gemma.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Sean, before we go on to item 5, 6 and 7, I know any other business is normally at the end. Can we bring that forward so that Judith and Di then can go off about their business, because I'm sure they're really busy.
Yeah, Democratic will keep abreast of what needs to be done there anyway. But yeah, if you want to go ahead, and I shouldn't think that would be a problem. Okay,
it's in regards to the PSPO. It seems that we've had to ask for the PSPO issue to be brought to scrutiny, but during the pre-meeting, it has been discussed that all major policy changes or changes to council services, etc., that affect the majority of residents within the Neighbourhood Services Department should really come to the Scrutiny Committee as a matter of course before going on to Cabinet or full council.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, now this isn't a report. The PSPO report isn't something that's been brought by Neighbourhood Services. It's come from Simon Jones in legal.
But I think because it affects the, a lot of it comes under the Neighbourhood Services portfolio. I think it's something that this committee should see it before it goes to Cabinet or full council, but after the public consultation. So this is something I think our members are going to take a vote on it and ask if this can be made as an action to be passed on to Cabinet. So if they could ratify it, hopefully. I don't know if anyone else on the committee wants to come in. Yeah, Councillor David Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Declan. I understand that an issue crossing two scrutinies, but surely rather than one scrutiny being left out, whether it would be us or legal in this instance, both scrutinies should have a look at it.
Yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is I got no issue with scrutiny looking at it, but it's not a report that would come from my service area. You know, Simon Jones would need to bring the report to scrutiny.
Yeah, but at the cabinet level, certainly it should be discussed. It will be being discussed, and perhaps the cabinet member should make our scrutiny aware of any issues that would affect a borough-wide effects or policy changes.
I'd be happy also for it to come to scrutiny, Dave. I got no problem in coming to scrutiny before it comes to cabinet.
Yeah, that's great. This is what we're looking for. Is, you know, I consider this to be quite a robust scrutiny, and Declan is a cracking chair of it. And I think that we can iron a lot of the wrinkles out before it comes to the full report.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that back, Dave, to the cabinet and ask them to bring it to scrutiny.
Yeah, just where obviously you were the cabinet member.
Yeah.
Where you believe that it affects our scrutiny more, that you just bring it back to us, and it'd be much appreciated if you could do that, please.
Yeah, of course I can.
Thank you very much.
And I liaise with Declan there to give you a date when it can come back.
Yeah, well, Declan's the chair, and as I said, I have every faith in his stewardship of this committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sean, did you want to come in?
Yeah, it was just a point that if it is affecting multiple scrutinies, the other alternative is that it could go to governance, because obviously governance would be as a part of the corporate services, which legal is under corporate services, and then any from that could come down into the individual scrutinies, but that's just a suggestion, you know, as to be put forward. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so should we as a committee take a vote on it to say that this is an action that we'd like the cabinet to look at?
Chair, I don't know whether it comes. Oh, sorry.
Clive, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I saw Jeremy Davis's hand up, but he's just taking it down. Sorry.
No problem. So should we take a vote, Sean?
Yes, you can, yeah.
Okay, does Maya have to step in, or shall I just ask people if they're happy to ask cabinet if this can happen to raise their hands?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll move it, Chair, so that you've got a
okay
resolution. All you need now is a second there.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favour, raise your hand. Is that unanimous, Maya? I think it is.
Yes, Chair, I think all members have voted, yes. Oh, okay. Councillor Colbrand, did you raise your hand as well? Councillor Colbrand, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I did,
yeah.
but I took it back down again. Before
Sorry, yeah, Councillor Colbrand. Yes, yeah, the members have raised their hands.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
I think that's it for this. Sorry, Di.
Yeah, like I said, I'm happy for it to come back, and I take up back the cabinet deck. Thank you.
Cheers, David. I think that's it for this section. So Di and Judith can go if they want, and we'll go back to agenda item number 5, I think.
Sorry, can I just clarify there? Is it that you want me to put a note, Chair, that as an action going forward, that any future policy changes within the neighbourhood services, they have it then kind of as a part of their processes, either before or after it goes to cabinet, it comes to our scrutiny before it goes to full council. Is that what you want me to action?
Yeah, I think it's only fair, to be honest, because as has been mentioned by different members of the committee in a pre-meeting and during the meeting, it's that it affects the majority of residents, and I think otherwise, if it doesn't come to the scrutiny committee, there's no point in having a scrutiny committee, because scrutiny that is not working if it doesn't come here, and there's no point in having a committee.
Okay. It was just because I noted going that there's a proposed policy change for the environmental and cleansing enforcement team. So that's why I wanted to just to clarify that that's what you wanted me to do as an action going forward, obviously, so that Jude will disseminate down to the staff that if there's any proposed policy changes or new policies or policy amendments, they come through to us before it goes to full council. So whether that's before or after cabinet, I can put that in place now. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, and I think obviously it's up to each scrutiny committee to see if they want to do the same kind of thing for their in their portfolio, their section.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Di. Thank you, Judith. We'll go back to agenda item number 5, the forward work programme. Sian, are you taking this?
Yeah. The next forward work programme will be on, let me get myself together. Sorry. Just pulling it up. So the next forward work programme will be on the 7th of December. We made some amendments last month as a part of our actions, which we have done. So on the 7th of December, we've got scheduled the energy saving carbon management plan, as carbon management report come in, the community asset transfer policy report come in. So my question is basically, are those two still okay to come to next scrutiny, or would you want any amendments or changes to that? Taken on board that we've just spoken about a policy change that's possibly in December, so we could be looking at January. I know that Paul said he didn't know when that policy would be completed, so it's probably not going to be done, logically speaking, for the 7th of December, because that report would have to be finished and completed by the end of November. So we're probably looking at January's there. We do have 1, 2, 3 reports currently on the January meeting. So there's some food for thought there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow it now, Sian, sorry.
I'm on page 25 of the report. That would give you the forward work programme for the 18th of January.
Okay, so the agenda for committee for the 7th of December would stay the same. Yeah.
That's for the committee to decide, yeah.
Chair, I think you'll have to, because the consultation doesn't finish until the 12th.
Yeah, that's fine. That is.
It's extremely unlikely. You know, they're going to get that report ready with Christmas and everything's going on with COVID.
Yeah.
You'll have to leave that situation there to wait to see what happens. Because that report, Sian, may not be even ready for the meeting on the 18th of January. As you know, the reports have got to come in advance, whatever it is. You must have them, I can't remember the date, but at least 10 days.
Yeah,
before.
It's the 11th.
Yeah. So, you know, with the new year, etc., it's my guess is that report wouldn't even be ready for the January meeting.
To make an educated guess, if it's not finishing until the 12th, you've got Christmas in between. We have now a closure agreed during the Christmas period, so there's nobody working in between.
All
so
right.
Technically, I might agree with you that it possibly wouldn't be ready for the 18th of January. So looking then at March would be the next one.
Yeah, but I think that's what we got to aim for, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
The staff, there's a staff close down, is it, for the whole of between Christmas and the New Year?
There is, yes. Just in between Christmas, Boxing Day, and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. There's a clause for the civic centre and the non staff that are on call, so to speak.
So to help the chair, I think the December meeting and the January meeting, we should leave it as it is.
Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So would you like me to feed back some information, just explaining that to Judith after the meeting as an action for myself? Saying that obviously we've just discussed that all policies should come to ourselves. It's not going to be completed by 7th of December because the consultation period. The next one is January. So just to inform her and Paul and Gemma that the next one then would be March. So they're going to have to delay their processes to taking it to full council until it's come to us first.
Sean, I'm just wondering because in the actual report, it does say that this will go back to Cabinet in December. So I'm quite sure all they will show in it will be the public's responses. And I'm sure as our scrutiny is in the 18th of January, I think that will give them probably plenty of time. So if we can, in the meantime, put it on for that agenda.
Okay. That agenda is quite full, mine, but I can put it on. But yes. Yeah. Okay. No problem.
That's if it goes ahead, because I think the last couple of January scrutinies have been cancelled due to different issues.
Okay, no problem. So forward work programme, and bear with me. Yeah, I'll change that for January. So other than that, the forward work programme is as it is. We'll just add that new one to the 18th of January.
Okay.
Okay, that's
okay.
it. That's fine for me.
Lovely, thank you, Sean. Agenda item number 6, scrutiny, referrals, feedback and follow-up actions. This is in regards to changing the time of the scrutiny. And I think Mark, it has been noted that Mark wouldn't be able to attend. And I don't know if anyone else wants to come in. My own personal view is that Malcolm's been here since the start, and that it would be very unfair to change the time so that he would, which might result in him not being able to take part. Lee?
Am I right in saying, Malcolm, that there's no issue at the moment, because is it you do voluntary work with youth clubs?
Yeah, I do after school activities.
What time is it? That straight after school?
Well, generally, yeah. Give them half an hour to have their tea.
Yeah.
And then
so what time do you normally start?
I say 4:30, something like that usually.
Okay. Is that all through the year, Mark, or is that just in the summer months?
Well, we're starting to after Christmas. We're going to be starting up again, hopefully.
Okay. What, inside a venue?
Yes.
Obviously,
when it's if we're able to.
Yeah.
Which is
probably
highly unlikely, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, you know, if the majority of people want to change the times, then it may be there's some meetings I can't attend. So obviously it's a majority decision. So I'm happy to go along with that.
Do you run it every night then?
Mondays.
Right. Okay. Okay. Like Thomas was struggling with his work, with his school work. I saw he did mention earlier.
Yeah, but I say I'm happy to go along with what everybody else thinks, but it may be that I won't be able to attend all meetings.
Okay.
Can I just clarify? Is that it's not a holiday school club? It's a term time school club.
Yeah, it's all the time.
Oh, right, term time. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So, Sean, do we take a vote on it, or get our comments first if anyone's got any?
You can, yeah. I mean, what are you taking the vote on? Whether you wish to change the time, or you taking a vote on whether you want to keep the time as it is? If you're voting on whether you want to change the time, what are you wanting to change the time to? Because on the list that I sent you, I'm going to have a quick look at it now. So from the list, other than Councillor Colbrand, everybody could make 4 o'clock and 4:15 a start time of the main council meeting. So if you were to start at 4 o'clock, the pre-meet would be 3:30, or that's what we proposed. And if you were to start at 4:15, the pre-meet would be at 3:45. So of those two, as I said, everybody other than Councillor Colbrand could actually make it. With the preferred choice of those two, then you add equal sums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 4 preferred one or the other or both of those times. So
I think maybe the first thing we should do, bearing in mind that if we change the time, Councillor Colbrand, who's been with us since the beginning, would miss meetings, which is not really fair in him, in my opinion. Should we have a vote on if anyone still wants to go ahead and change the times? And then if they do want to change the times, we're going to hold a further vote on what times.
You can, yes. Can I just ask? Can I just ask for democratic support here, please? Is there an issue with all members voting on this particular topic, or is it elected members, please? Anyone?
They've left you to it, Sean.
They've gone.
No, sorry, as I'm checking now, if obviously elected members have voting rights, but on neighbourhood, co-opted members, non-voting unless stated otherwise. So as far as I can see, Mr Holdaway, Mr McCarthy, Mr Starr are non-voting members. So the voting members then are the members of the committee. So checking the list here. So, you know, co-opted members, non-voting unless stated otherwise. So, because Mr Holdaway is public appointed, non-voting. John McCarthy, public appointed, non-voting. Mr Philip Starr, voluntary section, non-voting. And Thomas Butler is from the Youth Forum. So they are non-voting members then. I think that helps.
Just to be clear, it's only the elected members.
Yes, as far as I can see, Chair. Yes, the check sheet that I have here. Yes, it says co-opted members, non-voting unless stated otherwise, and it's non-voting for the people I've just mentioned.
Okay, we've got hands up from. Go on. Sorry, Sean.
I just wanted to clarify that, given what you were voting on, I just wanted to make sure that that voting was done correctly. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Sean. Councillor David Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I don't think there's going to be a simple resolution to this anyway, and it would be a shame for any member not to be able to make meetings. But in our little discussion prior to the meeting, other members of the committee said about problems that they would have. So before we go voting about one thing, can we hear all the issues that other committee members have as well, please?
I know I said that it makes it a little bit difficult for when I pick my grandkids up, but it's not a problem. I'm not the only person that does it. It's so it's fine for me to leave it. It's not that the kids wouldn't get picked up if I stayed in the meeting.
I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to have they say it here and now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pick my kids up at 3:15. Obviously they're off this week. You know, it'll mean my wife having to take time off. My parents normally pick it up. We have other childcare normally, but obviously they're in their 70s, and I can't expect them to go to school to pick my kids up all the time with this virus. So it's awkward for me at the moment.
I know Tom and Clive want to come in here. I think Tom has had his hand up for quite a while.
Sorry both.
Oh, sorry, were you finished, Lee?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I thought it. Yeah, sorry.
Tom?
Yeah, hello. It's just I can't be leaving school just because coronavirus. We've missed so much education, and it's also I'm doing my GCSEs now.
Thank you, Tom. Clive?
Yes, Chair. This is a very difficult situation because my wife doesn't drive, so if at least 2 days of the week we look after the grandkids, i.e. taking them to school, picking them up, and obviously the eldest one doesn't finish till 3:30. So I got the same issue as Lee, and I think Jeremy as well. Can I, and this is, I feel a bit awkward saying this, but I think it needs to be said. And I know that we've got co-opted members there, but it's important that we get as many elected members on present. You know, we've reduced the number of scrutiny committee members whenever it was, about 2 years ago. But I was going to make a suggestion, because we have our pre-meeting, which starts at 2 o'clock, to enable the committee to start at 2:30. One way over it could be to bring forward the pre-meeting, say to 1:30, and have the meeting proper starting at 2 o'clock. And even then, we may have 1 or 2 of us, if depends on how many items are on the agenda. I would have to leave the meeting if I need to pick up the grandkids that day at 3:20. So then, you know, there's one way of trying to make sure that we've got at all times a quorum of committee members in the meeting.
Malcolm,
you're on mute. You're on mute, Mark.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, as I said, I'm happy to go along with the majority. And obviously, if it's more convenient for most people to start later, then that's what, you know, you need to do. I'll abstain on the vote. But if you need to start later and it means that perhaps at some point I need replacing on the committee, then that's something we'll have to look at. But it's got to be what suits the majority, obviously.
Sean?
You're on mute, Sean.
Sorry, just going to say, picking up from the discussion earlier on, some of the issues were maybe coronavirus related possibility. So, for example, Malcolm, I think you said that you don't see the club starting until after maybe in the new year or December, because obviously the getting the kids in the classrooms together or whatever.
To be honest, I think it's more likely to be spring the way things are going, to be quite honest.
Okay, so, and also I think some of the situations are changed because you having to work from home and maybe collect your children. It might be something that's different. So what about a solution maybe of, because the times these committees start is entirely up to yourself. Providing that we are clear, is there, or could we think about maybe starting it later for the next 1 or 2 committees and then maybe revising? Because if it is up until spring, then it might not be an issue for you, Malcolm, to start later. If the situation changes, perhaps then we could look at maybe changing the time again. Again, I'm just maybe putting suggestions forward before we do anything. And as I said, nothing is set in stone for these times, because it's due to, you know, it's down to you to make that decision anyway.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
So I mean, that could be thrown in the mix.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I echo what Sean says, but I think because the way COVID is at the moment, perhaps change it for now so it suits everyone, and then obviously down the line, hopefully if we do start coming out of it and things start getting back to a bit of sort of normality, then we can look at changing it back to the other time, because obviously perhaps we won't have school issues like we have now with members.
Okay.
Can I make... Oh,
sorry, go on, Di. Go on, Di. No? All right.
Is it me?
Yeah, go on, Clive.
Right, sorry. Can I make a suggestion? We could deal with our pre-meeting at 2:30. So, you know, that generally lasts for about half an hour. And if that's the case, we could start our meeting at 3:45. I can see Lee and Jeremy nodding their heads.
It's fine, mate. As long as I can go at 3 to pick the kids up, I'm happy.
Yeah. Would starting the pre-meeting at 2:30 be okay for you?
Yeah.
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 So in the meantime, Chair, we could have that, and obviously with Malcolm's situation, none of us know when that's going to sort itself out. But we'll have to deal with that then when it comes to whatever, sometime in the new year.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
You're saying that the pre-meetings should start at 2:30?
Yes, well, either 2:30 or 2:15. You know, at least we got the pre-meeting out of the way then, Chair.
I'm just looking at the chart that Sean sent us, and that was only half-hour difference, and it's the earliest one, stay the same, 2:30. And it's only 5 people are able to attend, but then when you go to the later ones, 9 people are able to attend. So, well, I don't know. Sean, how many councillors do you need on the committee to be quorate? On this committee?
3, I believe. 3.
Yeah, it's the quorum for this committee is 3.
3.
Okay. 3 councillors, yeah.
Yep. I think Malcolm wanted to come in.
Sorry, Chair. Legacy hand. Beg your pardon.
Okay. Right. So, what are we going to do?
What Clive said to me was the best, because that gives me enough time to get back from school, because even if I pick the kids up at 3:15, I'm struggling to get back for the pre-meeting at 3:30. So 2:30 or 2:15, and then meeting 3:45. I think that would be good.
Okay, so can I ask if anyone can't make that time?
I can't make the pre-meeting.
Oh, that's fine at the pre-meeting, yeah. But you can make the full meeting.
If it's a 4, yeah, 4:15.
Or 4:45. You're all right for 4:45, Thomas?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that, well done, Clive. I think that sounds like a plan.
So
Chair, can I just clarify, are we talking the pre-meeting at 2:15 or 2:30?
I think 2:15 would be best for me, because obviously I picked mine up at 3, so I can get to the school then in quarter an hour if we finish at 2:45. That's okay with everyone.
Pre-meeting at 2:15 and the actual committee meeting at 3:45.
Yeah.
And is that a permanent change now, or just you trialing for the next meeting or two?
I would suggest we have that for the next few meetings.
Okay, till the end of the municipal year?
Well,
Clive, you've gone on mute.
Right. The COVID situation is quite fluid, isn't it? We don't know. It all depends on the vaccine, whether this is sent out, and the majority of the public have been vaccinated. So there's a lot of ifs and buts about it. We don't really know until that's happened.
Because our committee cycle, Chair, goes until the 12th of April meeting.
I think Anne Taylor wants to come in, or she did.
I was just going to say, Chair, that of course 2 of our co-opted members have to come into the Civic Centre for the meeting. As it is, they miss the pre-meetings because we can't necessarily support them for that length of time, because I have to be away from my desk, and literally I'm just sitting here the whole time. and you know, just sitting here waiting to support them. If we have that gap in between the pre-meeting and the formal meeting, they're definitely never going to be able to take part. And it's the same thing then for your co-opted Merthyr Youth Forum representative as well. So it's just that you've got 3 co-opted members and we're not able to take part in your pre-meetings at all. I don't want to throw in, you know, another spanner in the works, but I just thought I'd point that out.
I think it comes back to the situation all the time, Chair, is that it's important for the elected members to be in the pre-meeting. I really do.
Yeah, okay. Malcolm, you're on mute. Still on mute.
It's this device here is the trouble. What would be the earliest time then that Lee and Jeremy could attend a pre-meeting that was immediately followed by the main meeting?
I normally get home 3:15. I can get home by 3:15 from the school.
I'd say 3:30 for me, and then I could be a couple of minutes late, but that'd be fine.
So we're looking at 3:30 pre-meeting, 4 o'clock main meeting then.
Yeah,
if that's okay. If that's okay, so if everyone can make it, yeah.
Yeah, Chair, I thought we were talking, we would agree that we'd have the pre-meeting, so that's out of the way before, well beforehand, and then we could start our scrutiny committee at 4:45.
Yeah, but Anne's saying there's problems with the co-opted members. So Anne is saying we need to have the 2 meetings back to back, ideally. Is that correct, Anne?
Sorry, I was just, the point I was that if we have that break, then it's going to make it difficult for the co-opted members to attend. I mean, I was just making you aware of all the facts, basically. That's the point I was making.
Thank you, Anne. I think Clive has said, though, it's important that the elected members who are there, to be honest.
Yeah, but if we moved it to 3:30 and 4 o'clock, then presumably everybody will be able to attend both meetings.
I wouldn't be able to be there at the start at 3:30.
What time could you make it then, Clive?
Well, I could be there.
Clive, you're on mute.
I could be back at home and ready for a 4:45 meeting. You know, if you have a pre-meeting starting at 3 o'clock, for example, I'd have to leave at 3:20 to get out of the school.
But then if you had the pre-meeting at 4:45, is that what you're saying? And then the main meeting at 4:15? Would that work for you?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
I just got to throw another spanner in the works here now. Does that mean paying overtime to staff, having to stay on? No. Okay.
Sorry, can I put my hand up here? Can I just add? Whilst I agree with you that for a meeting to go ahead, elected members, it is down to elected members' attendance that makes it correct, so that so the meeting can go ahead. It is also still important that we do have the co-opted members as a part and as the voice of the community as well. So we can't negate them totally. I do agree with you. It is extremely important that enough elected members are available to attend the meeting, otherwise the meetings don't go on. So I do agree with you, Clive. However, I have to err on the side of caution as well to state that it is important for the co-opted members as well. So if that 3:45 start for a pre-meet and rolling straight in then to a 4:15 meeting, if that suits all for the time being, and Malcolm, this is with yourself as well, obviously the situation you're in, even if we vote today, not for the whole municipal year, even if we vote to say that we will change it for the time being and revise it to see if it's working, review it. Perhaps that's something, so not to tie ourselves for the entire year, because then obviously, Malcolm, it could be, detrimental to yourself. Hopefully the schooling would be a better situation down the line. So perhaps that could be a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm happy to go along with that and propose that, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, anyone not happy?
I've lost the will to live now, Chair.
Yeah,
I know, I have to remember what we've said now to write it down.
Chair, just to be clear then, what the proposal is now then is the pre-meeting at 3:45 with the actual committee meeting at 4:15.
Yes.
Correct.
And there are three
meetings.
There are 3 meetings scheduled for December, January, March and April meetings scheduled. Are we applying those to the 4 meetings or just the next 2 or 3?
No, I think we might as well go to the end of the municipal year and do the 4 meetings.
That's the 4 meetings then.
Yeah.
We all agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
So Chair, are we going to have a formal vote or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we vote? Who
Yeah,
is it?
I'll propose it, Chair.
Okay, any seconder?
I second it, Chair.
Okay. And we're voting who's in agreement, if you can raise your hands.
Is Councillor Clive Jones voting, Chair?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Carried,
I
Chair.
think that's
Carried.
majority. Is that unanimous, Maya?
Yes, Chair.
Lovely. Okay. That's great. Right, agenda item number 7, reflection and evaluation of meeting. To be honest, I quite positive that we had that discussion pre-meeting where we're going to have a look at where things are going that affect the majority of residents and policy changes. We'll come to our scrutiny committee, and I've just seen an email already from Judith. She sent this to the lead officers in neighbourhood services. Hi all, just to make you aware that as from today, any new policies or policy amendments will need to be presented to the Neighbourhood Services Scrutiny Committee before it goes to Cabinet Council. So she sent that already. Okay. Councillor Lee Davis?
Yeah, I found an email from Sean back in April last year regarding the Reveda cameras with Victoria Slade. So it was brought to our attention then that Ryan had a camera in enforcement, and obviously it's nearly 18 months now and they haven't utilised that camera at all. The cameras are £5,000 plus VAT, and it's £250 to move them plus VAT. So I can forward that email on to everybody if you want.
Yeah, if you would, Leah, would be helpful.
Yeah, no worries.
I think the confusion was, Lee, that they talked about 3 cameras. I wasn't 100% sure about it, but I think they were talking about 3 cameras, which is where the 15k came from.
Yeah, I don't know about the 3 cameras. £15,000 is not a lot of money. They could have found out within this time. You know, Regen are just getting, these phase 1, phase 2s, they're £900,000, and they buy in, these AMPR cameras on top of vehicles and stuff. For the costs it'll save us, 15 grand is nothing.
Yeah. Well, not just the cost, it's the benefit to the whole of the authority.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's and it's just not fly tipping, it's antisocial behaviour and other things as well. So
And the fact is, Lee, it's working on Merthyr Valley Homes estates. It
100%. They move them regular for us. You know, there's one in Hawthorne now, and you know the antisocial behaviour drops dramatically as soon as one goes in. So
it helped us up by me when we had the issue with a guy getting out of jail, and he just thought he'd sell smack and crack up under the subways. And within a day, it all stopped because they put the camera up on the lamppost, and I went out and told them, "You're on camera, but they're a nice one." To be honest with you, we've stopped dealing since, around here anyway. So it is a deterrent for them.
That's fine.
Okay, I think that's it. Agenda item number 8, we've already done it, but if there's any other business, I don't have any. No? Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending.
All right.
And
See
for
you
contributions as well.
Thank you, and all the best, everybody.
Yeah, see you
Thanks,
Wednesday.
Take care.
Thank you.
Ta-ra.
Thank you.